welcome to Tips and Tricks, 7 chords and their relatives. My name is Anna Dalby. So today I wanted to talk about 7 chords, which we often use when playing, and then a bunch of chords that are related to 7 chords. So really trying to understand what these different chords are. So first of all, when we have a 7 chord, playing it on the left hand is super simple because it's built into the accordion. We have a special button for, say, a C7, right? On the right hand side, just to understand what notes are in the C7 chord, the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, all those notes have numbers in relation to the scale. So if it's a C major scale, it starts on C. C is the first note, D is the second note, E is the third note, and so on. So a regular major chord is made up of the 1, the 3, and the 5 note, right? C, E, G. And then when you play the 7, the chord that we usually see, the 7th note in the scale would be B, but we tend to play the dominant 7 chord, which means that that B is going to be down by a half step, so it's going to be B flat. So that's your C7 chord. Now, that means that the C7 chords contain the 3 notes of the major chord and an additional note, right? Now, there are many other chords that are related to this chord. So a C9 is the same thing, C, E, G, B flat. And then we want to add the 9th note of the scale. Now the 9th note is going to be a D. So the 9th note and the 2nd note are the same, right? So that chord, C9, is going to be C, E, G, B flat, D, okay? Lots of notes here. We don't have a C9 on the left-hand side, but because the C9 contains all the same notes that are in the C7 chord or the C major chord, you can easily substitute with either C major or C7, your choice. Now, there are other chords like a C11. It's the same idea. The C11 contains the 3 basic notes from the major chord, the 7, the 9, and the 11. So if the 9 was D then in the case of the C9, right? Then we also add an F. So a C11 is the same as a C9 plus an F. A C13, then we're adding yet another note. We're adding the A. So now we're going to have a lot of notes playing at the same time, and it's going to sound really messy. So usually we tend to leave some of those out. The easiest thing, I think, is to just substitute those crazy chords with either the 7 that you have built in or just the major chord. Either way, it's going to sound good and it's going to work as a harmony to the song that you're playing. There are a few other chords. There's like a C add 9. A C add 9 is just a regular C major chord, and you add the 9, you don't keep the 7. So it's just C, E, G, and the D. And you can play the D up there, or you can play the D down here. Either way that works. Again, you can substitute it with just the major chord, right? Now, that means that all these chords are related, but there's one exception. So there's a C major 7 that is not the same as a C7. So C major 7, you have C, E, G again, but instead of making it the flat 7, you're playing the 7 that's actually part of the scale. So that's the B. And that means that you cannot substitute a C major 7 when you get to it and say, oh, well, you know, I'm just going to play the C7 instead, because that's not going to sound good. You're going to have the B in the right hand fighting with the B flat in the left hand. So that sounds terrible. Don't do that. If you see a major 7 chord, just play the major chord in the left hand. This works exactly the same way for minor chords So if you have a C minor 7, then you just play the C minor chord and that flat 7, like that. Now for the minor 7s, we don't have that built in on the left hand, and so that means that when you play them with the left hand, you just substitute it and you play the regular minor chord, so C minor, and then if you want that 7 sound, you're going to have to add that in the right hand as supporting harmony. C minor 9, C minor 11, C minor 13, C minor add 9, those all work exactly the same way as I said that the major chords work. You're just adding more notes. So I hope that's helpful. Enjoy.